we've got to help even hand walk them to potential housing options they have, which are somewhat limited, but nonetheless, on their own, they can't quite close the deal. We have to help connect the dots so that they will no longer be out here in the park and plug it into your charging stations and stuff here. So we have to work to change their reality, and that's why we do what we do. It's not to just house somebody, it's to change that environment for them, each and every one of them. It's our responsibility as a provider to make sure that I wouldn't want to just provide a roof over somebody's head. I want to make sure that we find out what their issue is and how can we as a community, particularly we as a staff, how can we connect those dots to move them out of homelessness? We do it all the time. In a venue that has a lot more services, in say the Sacramento County has a lot more resources than Placer County in place to move people along. And we hit it out of the park. We're constantly moving people from homelessness, under a bridge, into housing, into jobs. We can succeed at that. Here we don't have as many resources, so we're going to succeed to the best of our ability. And maybe someday we'll have all those resources at hand, and you'll see a remarkable difference. And I actually ran the shelter from the Oprah Winfrey expose about homelessness in Sacramento, and we housed 225 people every night during that as a solution to that. They did come in. Trust me, 225 came in every single night. But that was quite an experience. Our mayor got involved, and I've seen nothing but support from Placer County in terms of trying to find a solution. So they'll have my ear, I'll have their ear, I'll have all of you. You'll have my ear, all of you, to respond as best we can. Again, for those people that take advantage of the shelter. We'll do a good job.
So our next email question is actually a series of questions, but most of them have been answered, so I'll just hit these two. One is, could you just restate which street the front door will face, and how long or how will individuals using the shelter services be coming and going to and from the shelter?
So the first question, the access will be on E Avenue West, which is in this location. For those watching, it will be across from what we call WC Field, and there's a ramp into this location.
And then how will they be coming and going? Public transportation, walking, all of the above?
All of the above, but mostly walking, to be serious, mostly walking. Walking to and walking from. I mean, I'm going to be completely honest. It's a 16-hour-day shelter. And we'll have everybody out of there by 7 o'clock in the morning. So you'll see people leaving 6:15, 6:30, because we have to clean up before we shut down. So they're early risers. So perhaps they'll miss part of the arrival time of the employees, but we'll be listening to your comments and trying to adjust as best we can.
Hi, I work here in the building in Cedra. I had an experience recently which I debated whether to share, because I'm a huge advocate of the homeless. I don't come to work and I don't feel scared for them. I actually feel very empathetic. I really feel for their plight. I feel like we've taken away a lot of their infrastructure of what has gone away over the course of my lifetime anyway. And I don't see most of them to be out there by choice. But I did have an instance. I've had several instances where I come in, I'm the first one coming into work. I park right here, I walk down this side of the building. We used to have plugs that were active, and over the course of a year, a handful of times I would show up and someone would be there. I was never threatened. They made me feel uncomfortable, but I think that was more because I was uncomfortable with their plight, not because I was feeling threatened by them. However, a couple weeks ago when I was coming into work, I come up the roundabout, and I don't know the names of the streets where I get into work here, and I'm very aware of my surroundings. In fact, I can tell you there was a guy walking a dog that had a blue T-shirt on. It was about 6:45 in the morning, and as I was turning onto this last street, there was, I believe it was a woman, really bundled up, walking very slowly across. And so I waited for her to cross, and as soon as she got to the other side, she turned around and ran at my car, and basically ran at right at my window. She had every opportunity to hit my car. She chose not to. She had a glaze in her eyes. She didn't look with it. Again, I felt threatened, not for my life, but I really felt empathy for her, and I still do. I came in and I called 911. I believe that they went out. I don't know what happened. I didn't have any follow-up with her specifically. But anyway, sorry, I caught up here kind of emotionally, but I do feel emotional about this. I feel sad that I was impacted, but I don't want them going anywhere other than to a nice place to sleep at night. Thank you.
Do you want to make any comment on that, or next question? Okay. If overnight tent camping is no longer allowed on the lawn, will the large piles of personal possessions also no longer be allowed on the lawn?
So that's something we're looking at because we recognize that there are different dimensions to the problem or the issue, if you will. And so one of the things we're going to be looking at is whether or not we need to outright prohibit overnight camping and overnight storage of possessions. I think Leo mentioned that for those people who will utilize the shelter, he's looking ahead to how they can store their belongings. We think that'll address a part of the problem, but we'll be actively monitoring the situation as we go forward to see whether other steps are necessary as well.
Hi, ESD. And kind of along the same lines with the camping going on, not being disallowed with the shelter, my vote is to disallow it. I really appreciate the fact that the shelter will have some structure for these people, and these people are looking to get help. The people that choose not to be in there tend to be probably the more dysfunctional, and those will be our campers that are out there. I too have had more than one incident in walking the campus with people in that area, from men masturbating, women fights rolling on the ground, tearing each other's clothes off, dog fights where a dog was killed. It's not pleasant. I've worked here 15 years. I've never seen this type of homeless influence before. I've never felt unsafe in walking this campus. I think in delaying, choosing to deny giving them the tarp over their head wherever they want, atmosphere versus you need to comply with the facility rules, is just leaving us open for prey for these people, and someone will get hurt.
Thank you for your comments.
So this next one's a little bit long, but there are several points in it that comments. I should include the whole. I'll just read the whole thing. I'll shut up and read the whole thing. Placer County transit drivers and office staff are concerned regarding their safety and security when the new temporary shelter opens. The employee parking lot located on F Avenue directly across from the barracks is poorly lit and openly accessible. Some members of the transit staff report to work as early as 4 a.m. alone and leave work alone as late as 10 p.m. The DPW roads and transit lot is also poorly secured. As Placer County transit drivers and office staff, we are often required to uphold policy or procedures that may be unpopular. Threats have been made against drivers and office staff by some of the individuals who will be using the old barracks. Staff is concerned that they may be recognized by some of these individuals or that their personal property, such as their vehicles, will be recognized since they are directly across from the barracks.
I understand the comments. Again, I think we'll take a look at whether we need to do anything in addition to make the property here more safe and secure, better lighted, whether or not we have video surveillance or in some other technologies that we might consider as well. And I think, again, we're going to learn a lot over the next 90 days. That's why the board decided that a pilot was an appropriate approach without making a longer-term commitment to the operation of a temporary emergency shelter here at the government center. And so we want to hear these kinds of comments, these kinds of concerns, because that will help us do the best job we can to ensure the safety of our employees, the public, and see whether this is an approach that helps us deal with homelessness in Placer County. So I appreciate the comments, and we'll take those into full consideration.
Okay,
And I'm mindful of the time, so let me just take note that it's about 29 after. We plan to go from 11 to 12:30. We'll stay for a couple more minutes, a couple more questions online, and then the rest of us will be around for a few minutes. So if you have a question afterwards that you still have, we'll be here to answer that for you. So any other, yes ma'am?
Yeah, I have a question. The Sheriff's Department has been referred to a couple of times. Safety will be left up to the deputies. What kind of service can we expect from the deputies? I saw 2 deputies walking around there last week, I think it was, and it was very nice to see. It's the first time, I've been here for a long time, and I too have never experienced this before. What can we expect from that department? Are we going to have foot traffic, deputies on foot patrol? And there's another deal in regards to, there's a liability for the county, but there's also the liability for the employees. Employees are encouraged to have health and